while Trump appears to be making an 11th hour pitch to the African-American voting bloc, saying black voters like him more because of his indictments and mugshot.
Bidenomics is not working. It's just a complete mess. It's a disaster, especially here in New York City. We're feeling it very hard.
Do you think that somebody else besides Biden should be president?
Yes,
next time?
Of course. Bring back Trump.
There's nothing but love for Donald Trump here in the South Bronx, the North Bronx, the East Bronx, and the West Bronx.
So tell me.
We want Trump to come back, please, bro. Biden, get out of here, bro.
Is Donald Trump pulling off a political miracle, right? All of these indictments seem to be backfiring on the Democrats as people begin to wake up and realize that, yeah, it's looking more and more like lawfare every single day. And a byproduct of this is that Donald Trump is making an unprecedented gain among black voters in the key battleground states. So when the Democrats, of course, are busy shooting themselves in the foot, you don't want to stop them. You want to let it proceed, and hopefully it will pay dividends come November. Now, the person that actually realizes this in advance is big old lefty Stephen A. Smith. So check out what he had to say on the subject.
Here I say something that will probably be termed the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever had to articulate out of my mouth from a political perspective. But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that, because we know we have. And that's what he articulated. As unpopular as it was, as much as we didn't like to hear it, it's the truth. And there's no way around it. Those are all contributing factors to the state of affairs with the slippage that appears to be taking fold when it comes to President Biden, unfortunately.
So yes, Stephen A. Smith is a huge leftist, and there's no way he wants to admit that this is true. But of course, you can't deny it, so he's forced to. And as we can see, recent polling has in fact borne this out. Over here from the Hill, Biden is losing support among black voters in swing states, according to a recent survey. Now, of course, this survey was done by the Wall Street Journal, and it's showing that 30% of black men said they were likely to vote for Donald Trump. 30%. That is amazing. Now, of course, among black women, that is 11% said they were likely to vote for Donald Trump. So huge gains among this demographic. And of course, that makes people very uncomfortable. What the heck is going on? Well, Biden's awful and Trump is being persecuted. That's what's going on. But also, they're losing the battle in the court of public opinion. A lot of people would say, oh, public opinion doesn't really matter. And I'd say, yes, it does, because a lot of prosecutors actually base what they're going to do on public sentiment. If there's a huge outcry for or against something, that means that most likely public officials will be forced to act. And as you can see here, only 1 in 3 Americans think that Trump acted illegally in his hush money case, according to an AP poll, all right, Associated Press. So this, of course, is truly amazing. As people see more and more of the facts of these cases emerge, they start to say, yeah, there really isn't a lot there, is there? Okay, but let's go ahead and hear what Jonathon Turley had to say about it.
Well, this is really a part of this entire play, in that you've got a jury pool that is really heavily weighted, obviously, with people who have strong opinions against Trump. Only about 12% of the people in this area voted for Trump. Now, we have seen jurors who have later been found to have misrepresented their histories in a couple of prior cases involving Trump associates. In both those cases, the judges in Washington, D.C. refused to reconsider the verdict. But this entire indictment is based on his intent to try to conceal a crime. It's very ambiguous what that crime is, because the federal government didn't consider this a crime, an illegal campaign contribution. So the entire thing is rather murky, and the jury's going to have to deal with that. The irony here is that the legal system itself has really failed in this regard. The district attorney who once refused to move forward on this case yielded to pressure. The courts have allowed this to go forward, even though many of us have said that it's absurd. And so the New York legal system is now relying on average people, frankly, to have a redemptive moment, to say, my God, I mean, we have to say enough. Where's the crime here? And that will come down to his intent. And keep in mind, you're going to have his former lawyer telling this jury, send my former client to jail for following my legal advice. How many cases do you know of where that's happened?
So, of course, that is something that does, in fact, have me worried, is the simple fact that this court case is taking place in New York City. And as we just heard, yeah, only 12% of the people in this district voted for Donald Trump. All right. So you have basically 88% who are anti-Trump. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be unbiased, but you really have to be on the lookout for that. And as was pointed out, a lot of judges, this judge in particular, aren't going to care about a lot of this explicit bias that is uncovered at a later date. And that, of course, can have a huge impact on the overall scenario. But also at the end, that wonderful point, Michael Cohen was the one who cut the check, the one who paid Stormy Daniels. He was Trump's lawyer at the time representing in this scenario. And he's also basically the star witness of the prosecution. So he has to go out there and convince the jury that, yeah, what I told Donald Trump to do and what I did on his behalf was wrong, even though I was advising him to do it as his lawyer. And Donald Trump may or may not have even had any knowledge of it because he's expecting his lawyer to handle it in a legal and lawful way. So, of course, that sets up a very tangled web that Michael Cohen will have to try to maneuver. But either way, this whole thing, of course, hopefully is blowing up in the faces of the leftists, right? They can't hold back the truth forever. And the longer this is drawn out and the more people are made aware of it, then the more people are going to turn against it. So as usual, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.